Welcome to Candid Wisdom, the podcast, a community of people who are living out the greatest commandment, which is to love ourselves and to love others. Today, I want to talk about silencing the inner critic. I just had a whole weekend where I sat around beating myself up because there was a sales conference last week and I missed a lot of small details. And I almost scheduled an interview for 6 o'clock on the East Coast when people would be at home with their children. Actually, the girl who emailed me back was like, I'm actually going to be at home at dinner during this time, but I'll try to make it. I was humiliated and embarrassed, and my inner critic was very loud in my ear. Now, I had learned a set of skills long ago to silence the inner critic, but when I'm in the throes of something like that, of that negative thoughts and negative narrative, I forget my skills. And so I had to go back and find those skills. And let me tell you, it took me days to turn it around, but it's Monday morning and I am walking into my office with confidence. And I'm going to tell you how I did it. Now, here's a skill that I learned back when I learned the skill a long time ago, okay? Thoughts are not real. They come from outside of ourselves. They come from memories that we have. They come from narratives that people have put in our head. Sometimes they even come from movies that we've watched, places that we've gone. A thought will pop up with no merit. And just because we think something doesn't make it true on any level. And I think you've experienced this on your own. You may have been walking close to a bridge and thought, whoa, I wonder what it would be like to dive into that water, right? That's just a thought. It doesn't have any merit. We don't have to listen to it. So here's what I do when the negative thoughts come up. I question them. Friend or foe, where are you coming from, right? Just like anything that would invade my territory, I question their source. Where did that thought come from? And then once I've identified that thought, is it true? Is this true? If it's a yes, then we examine it closer. And if it's a no, then we put it in a jar and we put a lid on it so that I suffocate it of its power, of its air and its ability to breathe in my space. Now, if I say yes, then I move it to the next level. Is it 100% true? Let's just say, for example, Twyla, you're an idiot. Is that true? Well, maybe I say yes. What I did was idiotic, but I'm not an idiot, right? I'm 100% not an idiot. So that is a thought that will go into a jar. Twyla, did you drop the ball? Well, that's a yes. So now we examine that thought. I dropped the ball. Is that 100% true? Yes, it is. Now, what would my life be like if I believed that I always drop the ball? And then I just let that imagination go. I just let it run wild. What would be the end game if at work, everything I did, I dropped the ball? What's the worst possible thing that could happen? Well, let's see, I'd probably lose that job, okay? And then what? Well, then I'd probably have to find another job, okay? And then what? I might miss paying some of my bills, and then what? I might be evicted. You see what I mean? You just go and you let that thought play out so that your mind can see the worst case scenario. And in most circumstances, the worst case scenario will never happen. Will I ever end up on the streets homeless without a job? Probably not. I mean, my ability to gain employment is intact. And that may not be true for everybody, but for the most part, it is the truth. I'm not going to end up with nothing. So once I've allowed this whole scenario to play out, then I say to myself, okay, what would my life look like if I never accused myself of being an idiot again? If I never said those things to myself, right? No one said this to me at work. And maybe in some cases they have. But the bottom line is we're questioning this thought. It's an interrogation. Now, what would my life be like? I would be at peace. I would feel confident. I would have courage to take on more responsibilities, right? I would rejoice when people gave me projects because I know I could see it through all the way through, and then they would be so relieved because it's in Twyla's confident hands and she's going to take care of it, right? These are all the thoughts that I fill myself with. I think about all the times that I have done the right things, that things didn't fall through the cracks or where I didn't drop the ball. And then I meditate on those thoughts. How good did it feel to finish that project out to completion? Remember when the signage went up and the food went out and everybody enjoyed and the cleanup went perfect. And I fill my mind with those thoughts and I allow those feelings to flood my system, right? So that I have a feel-good memory to tie to this negative experience. So that the next time that thought comes up, immediately my brain is wired to another experience. Not to an experience of dread and to misfortune, but an experience of accomplishment, knowing that I have done things. And then, when all that is said and done, I counsel myself like I would counsel someone who came to me, a friend who came to me and said, you know what, Twyla, today I really blew it at work. And I think my boss is going to fire me. And I think this is the end. This is the last straw. What would you tell a friend that you loved, or a child that you loved that came to you and said something like that? What would you say to them? You would say, don't think like that, right? It's not that bad. I'm sure it's not. If you did make a mistake, accept responsibility. Go to the person who was affected by the mistake and offer them a genuine, sincere apology. And then you would tell them, here's what I've put in place so that things like this don't happen anymore. I now will take notes, or I will record myself, or I will record our conversation, whatever it is that will rectify that mistake from happening again. To let them know that you're on top of it. We don't hang our heads in shame. We look boldly into our mistakes and we accept responsibility for them. And I'm going to tell you something. By doing that, you allow other people to do the same, because everybody has a day where they make mistakes, where they drop the ball, where things fall through the cracks, because we're human and that's what happens, right? So when you do that, you allow space for other people to do that. And so as I'm giving myself counsel, I'm telling myself all of the good things that I know about myself, right? I know that you are smart, right? That you want to do the right thing, that you're not accustomed to dropping the ball, you're not lazy, you're a hard worker, you're a dedicated employee. Give yourself all of the positive reinforcement that you would give a friend or a loved one. And it's okay to give yourself that type of positive feedback. It's not conceited and it's not self-centered. It is self-love. And that's what this is all about. And once you've wrapped all of that up, you write down that negative thought, you're an idiot, on a piece of paper, and you light it on fire. And you never use that word again in your life. Now, you may make another mistake and you may drop the ball, but that word is banished from your vocabulary forever. If it comes up and presents itself in another way, then you go back and you redo what we've done until those words are eliminated from your vocabulary. And you'll see a difference. When a mistake is made, you will now have a positive a positive thought to connect to, instead of spiraling into a weekend-long session of recovery. That is Candid Wisdom. We'll see you next time.